Hi guys, Simon Trizelian, Voice of Reason. Let's talk about Syria. There's no coincidence that Syria is kicking off right now, and a lot of people seem to have forgotten about Syria, and they just think it's just part of the revolution. It's actually not. It's far, far deeper than that. It goes all the way back to the Obama years. If you remember when Assad was firing chemical weapons at his own people, Obama said that was a red line in the sand. Nothing ever happened of it. But why Syria? Well, Syria is really important in so much as from a globalist agenda. You know, there are only 3 countries left now that do not have a central bank controlled by the Rothschilds. One is North Korea, one is Iran, one is Syria. So you can understand why these wars are actually happening. It's all about money. It's all about actually getting central banks in, getting the IMF in, getting those countries in debt, taking their resources. And if you remember during the ISIS war, when Obama used to talk about ISIS, everyone else called it ISIS. Obama called it ISIL. And no one really asked him why. There is a reason for that. Because the L stands for Levant, and the Levant is a certain area of the Middle East. It encompasses all of Israel, most of what we now know as Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, all the way through into towards Egypt. Now this is part of a greater, what they call a greater Israel plan, and this is something that's been on the cards for a long, long time. And it is something that will come. This is why Israel and Saudi Arabia have got together. So we're looking at the old kingdoms of the Israelites, you know. And you've got to remember as well that Israel literally means is for Isis, Ra for the god Ra, and El for Elohim, which are the gods or the Anunnaki that came down. So Israel literally means that it is the land of the queen, of Isis, the king, Ra, the sun god. So you've got the moon goddess, sun god, and then the Elohim, the progenitors of the human race. That is why it's important. Okay, so it's not just, I mean, it is about the money, but it's not just about the money. But so what's happened in Syria, of course, is that you had to see the Free Syrian Army, which was backed up by the Turks and backed up by the US. The US still has, I think, 2,000 troops in northern Syria. And they were aligned very much with the Kurds, but the Kurds have a problem with Turkey. Okay, so the Turks are desperate to try and destroy the Peshmerga, which are the Kurdish rebels right up in the north. And guess what's right up in the north of Syria? Oil, and plenty of it. Okay, so this is what it's all about. He who controls that area of northern Syria is actually going to control a lot of oil. And Erdogan of Turkey is desperate to actually create a bit of a war with Syria to come in. Now, of course, there's lots of various different machinations and alliances going on. Syria is backed up, the regime is backed up by Russia, who, of course, are bogged down in Ukraine right now. They can't do much. And Iran, which is bogged down with Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. So they can't do much either. So this is now the time that the CIA have gone in, let's get these rebels back on, let's get them moving into Aleppo, which is the second largest city in Syria. So of course, while Assad was in Moscow, it's totally his eye off the ball. Everything else is going downhill in Syria. They've got attacks going on in Syria from Israel. Hezbollah has now almost like ceased to be. Hamas has ceased to be. The Houthis are very quiet right now. And this was a perfect opportunity to actually get the Syrian rebels up to march into Aleppo. And as we saw, the Syrian army just pretty much retreated. So this is going to create a massive buffer zone. And I think it's only now waiting for Turkey to actually come in. But say Turkey are against the war in Lebanon as well, but the war in Lebanon has now largely ceased. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. But what I do feel will happen eventually is that that Assad will be supplanted. And on day one, I guarantee you, on day one, the IMF will move in. There will be a massive rebuilding program in Syria. The Americans will get involved. Everyone will want a piece of Syria and its oil. And first thing will happen, it will have a central bank, and the Rothschilds will have got another country into their central global system. So that is really what is going on. But do expect more of this greater Israel plan. And this has been going on for a long time. And when you look to the original Hebrews, and we're looking at the Abrahamic religions, Abraham or Ibrahim, which is where we get Hebrew from, or Hebrew. That's how the etymology actually came out, is that the original Abrahamic race actually stretched all the way down through into Saudi Arabia, and they want it back. So you're literally looking at everything from the Sinai all the way through to Lebanon. So this is the old land of the Anunnaki as well, or the Agigi, the Watchers. So Baalbek, which is the head of really where Hezbollah is, Baalbek was called the landing place for the Anunnaki, and that's why these very large stones are there, like over 100 tons each. I mean, massive. This was the original landing place of the extraterrestrial ships. So they've got a heritage. And we're talking now of the 12 Illuminati families, which of course are the descendants of the 12 root races of mankind, which came about from the 12 families of the Anunnaki, okay, the 12 bloodlines. So you can see a direct relationship all the way through to the Rothschilds, to the globalists, and they want everything that they used to have, including Sinai, which used to be called Tilam, which was the area of the space chariots, apparently. So that is what a greater Israel is going to be. This is why people, when they talk about Armageddon, which is Megiddo in Israel. Also, Syria is home to Dabiq, which was the home of ISIS as well. So it's a very, very important area for a lot of things. And this plan goes back hundreds of thousands of years. This is nothing new. And this is one of my specialities. I've actually written now 3 books on the Anunnaki, which are all about to be released, and we're going to be talking more about that, and I'll be doing very specific videos and podcasts on the Anunnaki and what has really happened. Because I find it fascinating that when you look at modern day things, and of course I was deeply embedded in military intelligence and a lot of very, very interesting organizations, let's put it that way. So I've seen this firsthand. I know what's going on in regards to the 12 families. I know what the geopolitical machinations are that are being created right now. Everyone sees it in isolation. I see it as the thread that ties everything together. It explains the world currency, it explains the UN, it explains our DNA, it explains why I am O negative bloodline, which is one of the Anunnaki bloodlines. I understand all of this stuff, so it's going to be an interesting ride. So join with me, like my videos, please do follow and repost, because this is about to get a very interesting ride. And now with Trump in the White House as well, expect some big things to happen, certainly over the next 2 years. Okay, this is Simon Trizelian. Thank you for listening. Out to you. Bye now.